Yeah. Recapping Utah State first, I thought when we went back and watched the film, I definitely think you saw us moving in the right direction. There was clearly progress from week 1 to week 2 on both sides of the ball. I thought we established the run game a lot better on offense. I thought we were more efficient throughout drives. We had much more success from drive to drive than we did in week 1. We were able to continue to create explosives in the passing game a different kind of way, pushing the ball a little bit more down the field, which was good to see. Defensively, we were efficient on 10 of 13 drives, and that's obviously a good number. Obviously the 2 drives that you give up, you're going to be very critical of the mistakes that were made and do things that you got to do to try to get them cleaned up. But I thought by and large we took positive steps forward defensively. We were really good on third down through the majority of the game, which was another area that we certainly wanted to improve and get better at. And, in special teams, we hit 2 big returns again in the kickoff return game. And so I thought we took strides across the board. From a player of the week standpoint, defensive scout team player of the week was Nane Bodie Owusu. Offensive scout team was Carter Braw. Special teams was Lane Gerke. So happy for those guys. Our offensive lineman of the week was Mark Nebu. I thought that was his most complete game. Played 3 different positions over the course of the game and really added a lot of toughness and firmness in there. Defensive lineman of the week was TJ Searcy. I thought he did a really, really good job in the run game, physically holding the point of attack, which was important for us. And then our players of the game offensively was Marcel Reed. Again, another day where he had over 300 yards combined total offense, accounted for another 4 touchdowns, didn't turn the football over, so we're really happy with the way he played. Defensively, Cassius Howell, who was also the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. Again, we hit on 3 sacks in one game is really impressive. 3 sacks in one drive is even more impressive. Consecutive plays is even another level. And then special teams player of the week was Terry Bussey for the job that he did returning kicks. And so excited for where we are, and now obviously turn our attention to the challenge that we've kind of been waiting for, and an opportunity to go on the road and play a really, really good Notre Dame team up in South Bend. And so we're excited for the opportunity, excited for the stage, and certainly looking forward to a great week of preparation and getting on the road. And then before you guys ask, we'll be fine injury-wise. Mark and Marcel will be fine. So that's where we're at. So from there, we'll open it up to questions.
Howdy, Coach.
Howdy.
So you can't talk about Notre Dame without talking about Rudy. I watched it again last night, and Coach Parsegian in the movie says that sometimes he could put Rudy's heart in some of his players' body. Have you, during your coaching career, have you ever had kind of an undersized guy that was just had a lot of heart, and you wish he could put his heart in some of your players' body?
Oh gosh, yeah. From the places I've been, we've had a lot of them over the years, and the blue collar kid who maybe doesn't have the God-given athleticism, but kind of gets every ounce of energy out of who he is. I'd be remiss if I started running off names and forget some, but from Bowling Green to Wake Forest, we were kind of a team built on those types of guys. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of those over my time in coaching for sure.
Coach, all the way in the back, Chip.
Coach, I realize the teams are different, the players are different, but what similarities do you see with this Notre Dame team versus the one you played a year ago?
Obviously the schemes are similar. I think they're pretty well entrenched in who they are and what they do. We're pretty well entrenched in who we are and what we do, and so that's always an exciting chess match when you go into a game like that and the other team. I think last year there was a lot more unknown. It was Coach Denbrock's first game there as an OC, and we didn't know exactly what it would all look like. It was our first game as a staff, and so I think there's a little bit more of that chess match that will go on, and that's always interesting. I think that's kind of where it starts.
Coach, second row. Olin.
Yeah, Coach, excuse me. Obviously, we understand it's not a conference game. It's only 3 games in. There's still big season to go. But I wonder, just in your opinion, how big for this program, for this season, is this game? And are you the type of coach that says, hey, every opponent's the same, nameless, faceless, or Do you have a issue with saying, hey, telling your guys this is different?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be naive to not think that our kids understand the magnitude of a top 10 matchup on the road, going to play a top 10 opponent on the road. So from that perspective, obviously this is a big opportunity. How big is it relative to this season? It's as big as every game we play because win or lose, there's going to be more to play, and regardless of outcome, the next one's going to be just important, and so is the next one. So from that perspective, I don't see it different. But from the standpoint of, is this a big stage, big opportunity, prime time? Yeah, for sure. It'd be naive to say it isn't.
Coach to the left, Alex.
2 questions. First, just has Mario had any kind of like physical transformation, maybe with his weight or his gains over the offseason?
Yeah, a little bit. I think he's certainly trained at a more consistent level, and part of that is just his maturity, going from being a true freshman, which he was last year, to now kind of understanding. Again, we talked a lot about with Marcel, but very similar for him too. Like, I think he took a pounding as a true freshman in the SEC, and I think has done some things to physically improve his body, to put a little bit more strength and weight on there. I think he still's got areas to grow and improve for sure, but yeah, I would think he has put some good weight on and looks better than he did when he got here for sure.
And then you've talked about the good things that you've seen from your passing game. Just what do you see from Notre Dame's secondary going into this matchup?
Yeah, it's one of the most talented groups in the country for sure. Leonard Moore is a kid that we were very familiar with. We tried really hard to get him at Duke and wound up choosing Notre Dame, and obviously had a really, really good true freshman year for them last year. And Christian Gray is the kid on the other side who we played against last year, and is another really, really talented corner. And so, they play a lot of man coverage. They play it really, really well, and because they have really talented players there.
Coach front right, Travis.
Hey, Coach. This game was scheduled, or this home and home was scheduled in 2014. It's like the only sport in the world that schedules that far out. What's the pros and cons of knowing that a game like this is coming down the line?
I don't know as a coach if it means a whole lot, to be honest with you. I think these matchups are really good for us. They're good opportunities to get on big stages early in the year. I enjoy these matchups. I enjoyed the Clemson matchup back in 18 and 19 when I was here, and we were part of that. I don't know how much it helps you as a coach to have them on. Like, I have no idea who we play 4 years from now, so it's not like that gives me any excitement or anything like that, but I think you're great for the fans, and obviously in order to get these types of matchups, you've got to schedule them very far out in advance, and so we'll hopefully continue to do that as we move forward.
It's crazy to think about that. In 2014, it was the first year of the playoff. There wasn't transfer, but like how much the sport has changed since maybe this game was put on the schedule.
For sure, and the irony of it all is Chad Klunder, who is our chief of staff here, was the chief of staff at Notre Dame that scheduled the game, and so a lot changes in life in that amount of time, from the time the game is scheduled to the time the game actually gets played.
And then you mentioned a couple weeks ago just never having had gone back to a place that you coached. What's the kind of the thoughts or emotions from your perspective on heading back?
Yeah. I think in the role that I'm in, given the magnitude of the game, I don't know how much I'm thinking or contemplating that. Obviously the roster is different, so there's not a lot of player carryover, and so I think for me, obviously, I have a ton of respect for the program, the tradition, the history that is Notre Dame. Had a great year when I was there last time, and it'll be exciting to go back for sure. But I don't know that the nostalgia is going to be there.
To the left, Tony.
Coach, when you look at the film from week 1 to week 2, what were some of the differences you saw from your run defense to let you be a little bit more effective this week?
I just think we were a little bit more firm and sound in what we were doing. I thought we tackled better. I think they created some misdirection trickery that was creative. They hit some different triple option looks, and I thought those gave us a little bit of trouble, and we adjusted well to them. And so, I just thought we looked a little bit more solid and firm in how we played and how we tackled.
Coach to the right, Christy.
Watching KC play, it's easy to see why you like him as a player, but I wondered, what are qualities about him as a person that you like and that have allowed him to mesh so easily with your team?
Yeah, I think he's got a tremendous work ethic. I really enjoy the way he competes day in and day out. That really showed itself through the offseason as well. And so there's a maturity about him that I really like. He wants to be great. That shows every day, which is a really cool characteristic in a kid. And I think he's a kid that rises to moments. And so, his first time in Kyle Field, his first big opportunities. I know this is going to be his first big game for us. And so we're excited to see him and see him go out there Saturday.
Coach to the left, Donna.
Coach, this might be the first game of this season that it feels like maybe there's some extra emotions, or maybe, your guys talked about it being personal this year. This is probably one of those games they were talking about. Just how do you, going throughout this week, harness that emotion and make sure it doesn't become too big?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's where, hopefully some of the stages and some of the opportunities that we were on last year help. Some of the success that we had beating top 10 teams, some of the failures that we had losing some of those games. I think those were all opportunities for us to learn and grow. And I think the more you get into these opportunities, you understand the level of emotion that comes into these games. It's certainly going to feel different running out of the tunnel Saturday night than it does on an average normal game when you're not playing a team as highly thought of as these guys are. And so I think it's gonna feel different, but learning how to handle those emotions, hopefully what we went through last year will help.
And then Cassius Howell obviously recorded the back-to-back-to-back. Yesterday, Myles Garrett recorded back-to-back-to-back sacks. Is Texas A&M D-line university?
We've had a really, really good run. I don't know if I would call us D-line university, but we've had a really, really good run. I think, Myles got here. Myles left right before I got here as a defensive coordinator. I think we've talked about this before, but since I've been here in 2018, we've had more D-linemen drafted than any other team in the SEC. When you look at from Vaughn Miller to Myles to what Justin Matabike is doing, Bobby Brown had a good game in Carolina on Saturday. We've got a lot of guys making a lot of plays, and so it's really cool to see all those guys put on for Texas A&M.
Coach to the right, Carter.
Mike, how different do you think, or maybe what differences do you see in this Notre Dame defense under new coordinator Chris Ash compared to Al Golden's defenses?
Yeah, I think you're doing what a smart coordinator would do. There's a system in place that they've played really well and been really successful at. And so you see a large part of that still in place. But, Chris has obviously been a very successful defensive coordinator in his own right for a very long time. And so I think you see some of the wrinkles that are his or maybe more of the staples of a Chris Ash defense kind of showing themselves too. And I'm sure they'll continue to try to find the right blend as they move forward based on what they think they need to do to be successful to stop people.
And is one start enough to kind of assess C.J. Carr? Have you guys kind of looked back at maybe even his high school film and just kind of your overall impressions of him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really talented kid. I think he's got a big arm. I think you saw that in the spring game. You saw that on his high school tape. Obviously, him making his first start on the road down at Miami, those are always challenging situations for a young quarterback. And so I'm sure, he'll make tremendous growth coming out of that experience, now knowing what the emotions of all of that feel like. And he played well. He made a lot of plays. I'm sure he's going to have plans and hopes to make a lot more Saturday night.
And then last one is, you mentioned Marcel. Is Trey Zune good to go for Saturday as
Yeah.
well?
Front left, Robert.
Mike, playing at Notre Dame, is that venue any different than anywhere, or is that much like an SEC venue?
I think it's different. I don't know if it plays different, but the thing I've always said to people about Notre Dame is you can just feel the history and tradition, from Touchdown Jesus to just the feel in and around the stadium. You feel tradition, you feel history, you feel what that program has meant for so long to college football, and then obviously they've done a really good job with some of the recent renovations to create the modern feel to it as well. And so it's a cool place. I think it's a really unique place. It'll be a great atmosphere.
And Mike, A&M's obviously struggled on the road and recently, particularly in big games, even when you're here as a defensive coordinator. My question to you as a coach, have you tweaked anything about how maybe you go on the road, take your team, whether it's how you approach it or the travel, anything along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a lot last year. I think our travel schedule is a lot different than what it has been in the recent past, at least. I don't know how much that impacts or doesn't impact it. I think, when you decide to join the SEC and play on the road, you play in some really hard venues. I think we've played in some out-of-conference venues that have been really challenging, going back to my time as the defensive coordinator, certainly this one as well. And I think that leads to maybe some of the struggles, but obviously for us to take the next step as a program, that's the next hurdle that we have to get over. We got over the winning on the road last year. Now we got to get over the winning at night on the road against a top 10 team, and so that's the next hurdle for us to clear.
Coach all the way in the back, Tyler.
Mike, last year, obviously, the Notre Dame game was the very first game of the season. I know it's been a whole year, so everything's, so much more different than going into last year's Notre Dame game. But even it being week 3 this year, does that help, having kind of 2 games before you get to this, like you say, this top 10 matchup?
All that stuff is even. I think, had it been our first game and their 5th game, that'd be a difference. But, last year was our first, it was their first. This year, it's our 3rd, it's their 2nd coming off of a bye week. All that stuff is kind of what it is. I think maybe just in terms of the overall quality of football that gets played, maybe having a few games under both of our belts will make it a higher quality game. But I thought last year's game was a really high quality football game. 2 really good teams making a lot of plays against each other, and expect this to be very similar.
Coach back up front, Olin.
Just their running backs that they have, in particular, Jeremiah Love is they're one that you'd rather see out there than the other, and just your thoughts on those guys.
No, I think it's as talented a duo as I've played against. I was actually talking about this, that the only thing that I can remember in the ballpark was when I was actually at Notre Dame and we played Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel, and that group was really talented. But these 2 kids are really, really good. Their athleticism for their size, the way they hit the hole, the power with which they run, they're both effective pass catchers. These 2 kids are really, really talented football players.
Did you ever regret not bringing in Marcel in that game last year, and did it factor into your decision to bring in Marcel against LSU later in the year?
Nope.
To the left, Coach, 3rd row.
Week 3 was Marcel's first start last year. Just over the last calendar year, how have you seen him grow both on and off the field?
Yeah, I think, we've spoken about this a lot. I don't know that I have anything new to add to it. I think he's really matured as a passer. I think he has matured in his understanding of offense and what it all looks like. I think he's got a better feel and rhythm for the passing game. He's had a really, really good first 2 games. Obviously, the quality of opposition is about to ramp up really, really high. And so I know he's looking forward and excited for the challenge.
Coach to the back right.
If I could go back to Love just a little bit, for whatever reason, he didn't get as many carries against Miami. How much do you expect to see him prominently displayed Saturday night?
Yeah, I'd imagine he'll be a pretty big feature of what they're going to do Saturday night. That'd be my guess.
Coach to the left, Rob.
So with 2 games under your belt as calling the defense, but still being the head coach, how is that working out for you? Or are you kind of in a rhythm now of being able to do both jobs?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've at times over my head coach career done it, so I don't think it was completely new to me. Yeah, I think it's a little different for sure, but I got a lot of help, a lot of support. I've got a great staff, and I think that takes a lot of the pressure off of what I have to do.
Coach to the left, Robert.
What about the 10-day proposal, the transfer? I know you've talked about you like the 10 days, the 1 day. What about that?
Is it officially?
They proposed it.
It's still proposed. Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal idea. I think the fact that we are going to do it at the end of one season before the start of another one is a really great idea. I'm not sure where the idea of not doing it that way came from. That never seemed real intelligent to me. I like free agency before the season starts, and then we can start preparing with the team that we have. And so, I think hopefully it goes through, and I think it'll be best for everybody. I think it's really challenging. The thing that I think, obviously we're all for players having the opportunities that they need to have, but I think the thing that's going to make it really challenging is when you talk about revenue sharing, you're basically talking about cap management and managing cap with 2 open free agent windows, one later after the first one. I just don't know how financially people can manage a cap with that system with 2 different windows, and so I think it'll be really helpful.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thank you guys. Oh, you got one? Go ahead. Why not, Alex?
I was just going to ask.
Alex Miller.
For the foodies in the crowd, are there any places in South Bend that we need to hit up?
So somebody asked me that at the radio show last week, and there's a pizza place, I don't know if it's still there, that I always thought was really good. It was a New Jersey-style pizzeria, but it was over in Granger by where we lived. Outside of that, I'm not a foodie, so there are probably some really good foodie places, but we were kind of more bars and burgers. So, appreciate you guys.